Hello and welcome to tonight's LOL Esports Roundup, where we cover the games from the LCS the night before, so Thursday's games, week 4, day 2, and then the LPL and LCK games from this morning on Friday, previewing Saturday's schedule in the LPL and LCK. Predictions: I'm 176 and 78. That does not include the 5 LCS games that are going on right now. In the LCS, we start with EG 100 Thieves. EG win. They're now 9-2. Well, record is irrelevant because they're playing right now. But EG win. Isla was MVP on Rel. Jojo Pune went 4-1-8, 35% of damage. Armeo 2-0-12 on Ivern. Quid 1-4-2, 29% of damage on Azir. So, part of me really wanted to make Armeo MVP looking at the stats and watching him play, but I felt like Isla was really important in the early game team fights that allowed EG to get on the right track, got Unforgiven ahead, got Jojo Pune in a good place, and I mean, EG were able to run with it after that. Armeo did, do very well on Ivern, though. I mean, I think he's like 4-0 and like 26 or something between the two games going into tonight, the game that they played today. I think he's done very well as a facilitator, honestly. EG have, surprised everybody. I didn't expect them to be first place in the LCS. I thought they were a playoff team, bottom half playoff team, and Unforgiven's very good. Jojo Pune is solid. But in the end, they are, pacing the LCS. Whether that's good or bad is up for discussion. But they win. Revenge got solo killed by Someday. That was a bright spot for 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves did fight back at times. Doublelift coming up with some decent plays. Quid doing a little bit of work. But in the end, they just were no match for EG today. TSM, NRG, TSM win. Boogie was MVP on Sejuani. Insanity 419, 32% of damage on LeBlanc. Hanser 708 on Renekton. Palafox 221, 34% of damage on Kesa. TSM really paced them in this one. Boogie getting the team ahead on Sejuani, 100% KP when the game was close. And then once the game got out of hand, Insanity and Hanser and Wild Turtle were able to pad their stats, but Boogie was the key to their success to get them to that point. His ultis were on point. Boogie made things happen. And frankly, that's what had to be done because contracts could not keep up. The double 80 carry team composition just didn't have it going on for NRG. Hanser going 708, I mean, that says a lot, right? Dokla really struggled if Hanser, of all players, was able to have a KDA like that one. Team does look better with Insanity in the lineup over Ruby, I will say that. Now that Insanity is allowed to play things other than Graves, he's allowed to showcase a little bit more of his abilities. Cloud9, Dignitas, Cloud9 win. Eminez was MVP on Tristana. Fudge went 248, 25% of damage on a Renekton. Blabber 518 on Maokai. Jensen 427, 29% of damage in the loss. I forget what Jensen played. Nevertheless, though, this game was actually pretty close in the top side of the rift. The only gap that was created in gold, really, was in the bot lane. Berserker and Sven were able to pace Tomo and Diamond, get a 2v2 kill, I believe, and then get ahead. But in the mid to late game, it was Eminez and Fudge who were coming through with the damage. In the early parts of team fights towards the end of the game, when C9 seemed to have it in the bag, Dig were able to find Berserker and kill him and Sven and get them out of there. And frankly, Cloud9 were fighting shorthanded with an 8k gold lead. So, I mean, were they really shorthanded in gold? No. But at the same time, they were, having to rely on Eminez. And I thought he was excellent. He really, set the tone for the game by diving onto Jensen in mid lane, trading solo kills. So, I mean, the guy's aggressive. Kind of coin flippy, if that is even, I think that's the fairest way to describe him. He is a coin flip player. And today he flipped heads. I mean, Fudge going 248 and leading the team in damage 25%. That's not great, right? You don't want a player with a negative, well, he didn't have a negative KDA, but less kills and deaths. and 25% of damage leading you. 25%, I mean, that was a pretty even damage spread. Of course, Heimerdinger support will do that. FlyQuest Golden Guardians win. Gory went 6-1-8, 34% of damage on Silas. River 7-2-12 on Kindred was MVP. Vikla 0-5-5, 29% of damage on Azir. The only moments where FlyQuest were able to find opportunities to even crawl back into this game were due to Prince. Prince's Xayah found opportunities in this one to at least not make it look like a blowout and keep them within striking distance, but otherwise Golden Guardians were just ahead because River was all over the place. His Kindred, very good. We look at Jarvan, we look at Kindred. Two very different champions, right? Two very different looks from Golden Guardians, and you know, the mid-jungle duo is what carries this team. They went 13-3-20. I mean, I think that's no surprise, especially given the fact that Vikla went 0-5-5. He is struggling big time, and I'm starting to get around on the whole, you know, this is not acceptable situation. You'd like him to do better. Obviously, Gory is another Korean import mid laner, but Vikla needs to step it up. I would blame him and Spica for this loss, given how River and Gory did. Not high expectations for impact, to be honest with you. And then Prince actually found opportunities, so I mean, that is what it is. Stixay did have a lot of gold in this one in the early game, so part of me considered making him MVP, but River had 100% KP to earn that lead for Stixay, in my opinion. Lastly, Team Liquid Immortals. Team Liquid wins. Summit went 6-1-4. 41% of damage on Rumble for MVP. APA in his LCS debut went 8-0-3 on Tristana. Balulu 1-2-3, 30% of damage on Zoe. Summit solo killed Solo in the early part of the game. Summit would then deal a lot of damage, layering damage on team fights time and time again in the mid and late game. And frankly, Immortals had no answer. Balulu was on his pocket pick, and he didn't open up a lead against APA, which is, I would argue, I went over yesterday. APA is not a great laner in terms of in terms of laning phase. His stats would indicate that. And I feel like Balulu, when he was against Academy mids, was able to do that last split. Or last year. No, it was last split. So, him not being able to do it is a little unfortunate. Now, Pioshik was able to really set the pace at times, so that probably has something to do with it, creating pressure. But at the same time, I mean, shoot, even I think Team Liquid's bot lane had a 2v2 kill in this one. Immortals, I mean, they are falling apart. They are by far the worst team in the LCS, and I mean, that's easy to say with records and all, but it is pretty bad. LPL, LGD, EDG win. They're 7-6 now. They won 2-0. LGD now 2-11. Fofo was MVP, 12-2-15, 36% of damage. JJ 3-4-22 in the jungle. LPC 8-7-7, 33% of damage in the loss. So I thought game one, Mako was MVP on Rakan. He got after it. He really created a lot, to be quite honest with you. I thought that they Uzi struggling, but Mako doing well on a Rakan was actually a weird combination going on. Uzi had some pretty sus plays with Xayah, but obviously came out ahead. But LPC has decent stats as a result as well. Meteor for LGD, I mean, he's trying, right? I've come around on Meteor throughout the split as a player that's probably a little bit better than I gave him credit for to start. But at the same time, he was no match. Early game, LGD found some plays, High Chow roaming, but then EDG would just out team fight them in the mid to late game, even with Uzi inting team fights a bit, Mako coming through on Rakan, and then Fofo coming through with, I believe, Jason game 1 and Azir in game 2, which is why he dealt so much damage. I mean, it was over 900 DPM. Hard to ignore that. I would consider that the most valuable player of the game. JJ, obviously, making things happen, though, does deserve a lot of credit. One standout moment, though, for LPC and Jin Zhao, I think they did have a well-executed dive in Game 2 against EDG alongside Meteor. But outside of that, I mean, LGD are what they are. Weibo and Ultra Prime. Weibo win 2-0. They're now 7-5. Ultra Prime 4-9. Xiaohu 10-13, 33% of damage. Weiwei 1027 was my MVP. Dream in his Ultra Prime debut 382, 29% of damage in the loss. We went over this yesterday with Dream. He doesn't deal a lot of damage. So when he deals the most damage for your team, that means Ultra Prime really sucked. And they did. To be quite honest with you, Weiwei paced this game. He set the tempo. And Ning had no response, which is why Weiwei gets it. I mean, Xiaohu in Game 1 on Tristana probably deserved MVP specifically for that one. But when you include Game 2, Weiwei just was the reason why they got leads. The Shy inting a bit in Game 2 because he can't help himself. Weiwei's like, that's fine. We're going to get Light ahead. Light on the Kesa, dealing a ton of damage. We're going to get Xiaohu in a good place. Crisp on Rel, making things happen in Game 2. I mean, Weibo just really... I mean, Ultra Prime have put together a couple bad series in a row. That start they had is over now. They're playing real teams, and real teams are beating them. And I don't think that's really any... You know, there's not a nice way to put their struggles. Lastly, Top Esports, OMG. Top would win 2-1. They're now 10-4. OMG 8-4. Jackie Love was MVP 28, 6, and 21. 33% of damage. Rookie 5-2, 34 in mid. Abel 7, 13, 12. 31% of damage in the loss. So, Game 1, OMG were just simply way better than Top. I thought Top just really didn't have an answer in the bot lane. I thought Jackie Love and Mark struggled a bit. I thought that Cream was able to, you know, I mean, have more impact than Rookie, to be honest with you. But in games 2 and 3, Jackie Love came alive. Tien and Rookie came alive as well. I thought Tien on Viego was arguably MVP of that game. You look at Rookie, I think, arguably, Nico could have been MVP. I thought both really did quite well. But Game 3, Jackie Love gets MVP, sets the LPL record with 18 kills as they smoke OMG. Abel and PP got out of their gourd against Top in that one. Really, I mean, shoot. 7, 13, 12, that's an Abel scoreline for you. I mean, guy dies a lot. So if he's not getting kills, he's probably dying trying. OMG did, you know, try really hard to bring it back, which means they inted their face off, which padded some stats, but that is what it is, right? I mean, OMG are that type of team. They're not gonna slowly die. They're gonna, you know, try and win, frankly. So Tien looked good, Rookie looked good, Jackie Love looked good. Wayward, in some team fights, I thought he was okay. And Shanji really didn't show up much at all in this one across the 3 games when you really think about it. So with that in mind, I mean, I don't know what's going on with Shanji the last couple series, but he needs to really take on a bigger role. Obviously, as a player with the champion pool he does have, I expect him to do more. LCK, KT, and Bro. KT win 2-0. They're 8-1. Bro 2-7. Last series of the first round robin. Aiming was MVP, 12-0-12, 32% of damage in the win. K-Saw both games. Cuz 3-2-25 in the jungle. Karis 2-5-4, 36% of damage in the loss. Bro opened up both of these games with a lead. A classic Breon lead, though. I mean, a 2-1 kill score, a 1-0 kill score, a 1 or 2K gold lead. But that's the thing. They got those little leads in the early game, which you need to start, you know, building on so you can get to a 3, 4, 5K gold lead by mid-game. Didn't happen. So KT answered, and KT out-team fought them because KT are the better team, to be quite honest with you, which is unfortunate. These guys play in 2 days again. The schedule makers are really trolling. I had to do these stats myself because for some reason Games of Legend and Oracle's Elixir didn't have stats for this one. You know, I mean, I don't know what to say. Morgan and Umpty looked like they were on the same page in the early game, executing dives against Keen very well, but Keen in the mid to late game, way more impact. Pretty much solo ending game 2 himself. Mid lane, I thought BDD kind of played a, you know, BDD was not a big factor in this one, in my opinion. Maybe some people might say Azir turned around a game here or there, but I thought it was more so aiming on the Kesa. Lahens, I mean, hell, KT had such an advantage and Bro are so passive. They took a Baron 4v5 in Bro's face. Like, it's embarrassing how Brian plays sometimes. Cuz 3-2-25, I mean, Umpty found plays and Cuz did as well. So I would say they traded. Well, actually, to be quite honest, Cuz didn't, because Umpty got leads in the early game and Cuz just simply did nothing. So all of those, the 3-2-25 come in the mid to late game, I guess. Lastly, D plus DRX, D plus win 2-0. Canyon was MVP. I struggled to pick an MVP for this one. Showmaker 12-0-7, 27% of damage in the win. Deft 16-0-17 in the win. Rascal 3-10-3, 27% of damage in the loss. Rascal and Kana traded solo kills in this one. Kana playing LeBlanc in game 1, getting solo killed, and then Rascal gets solo killed in game 2. But the top side was just whatever. It was about Canyon and Showmaker, really. In game 1, Canyon on Lee Sin, Showmaker on Annie. Really effective. Their stuns were on point. Their kicks were on point. And then in game 2, Canyon was on the Nico, Showmaker on the Jace, and the Nico's Pop Blossoms were excellent. Canyon looking very good. He found opportunities to use his clones properly. And Deft was cleaning up on the Ashe, which is why his KDA is what it is. It was just a blowout. It was a blowout. I mean, what else is there to say? I think game 2, D plus had 28 kills or something. For an LCK game, that's a lot of kills. For a game that only went, what, 30 minutes maybe? Yeah, that was a lot. You know, it is what it is. I mean, DRX beat T1. T1 have an Academy mid laner, which is 3rd tier in the LCK pretty much. So it is, I mean, we kind of forget about that, right? And D plus gapped the hell out of DRX today. Sneak peek for tomorrow, LCK T1 Gen G. This one doesn't quite have the luster it has had over the last couple of years with the Faker injury. T1 5th in the power ranking, 6-3, coming off of a loss to DRX. Gen G 3rd, 9-0, coming off of a win against Live Sandbox. When they played last, Gen G won 2-1. Pays went 16-6-10, 30% of damage. Guma had the same KDA at 16-6-10 with 35% of damage. So Guma a bit more damage, but Gen G win because that's the case, right? 3-game series. T1's game, maybe they blow them out, a lot of damage. And over the average, Guma had more damage, but, you know, it was the Pays show for Gen G. I think Chovy actually had less kills than deaths, and Doran may have as well. Nongshim Live Sandbox. Nongshim 1-8, coming off of a loss against HLE. Live Sandbox, wow, why did I say it that way? Live Sandbox 2-7, coming off of a loss against Gen G. Last time they played, Sandbox went 2-0. Birdall, Willer, and Cal went 9-5-63 for 941 DPM, 41% of damage. So the carries, nearly 60%. Din, Sylvie, Peter went 3-15-10 for 849 DPM, so less than 100 DPM difference, so pretty close. These 3 roles were not the difference makers. Those 3 roles for Nongshim had 51% of damage, so 10% more relative to the team for Sandbox when they already have more DPM. So I'd argue that that was the difference. It was Teddy and Closer into Quad and Vital at the time. Now, obviously, it's Fiesta and Jiwoo, or at least who they had last series. So we'll see if that continues. LPL preview. NIP and BLG. NIP are 6-6, coming off of a win against RNG. BLG 2nd in the power rankings at 12-1, coming off of a win against Top. Last time they played, BLG won 2-0. Elk went 18-3-12 for 36% of damage in the win. Photic 8-6-6, 34% of damage in the loss. NIP now have Angel instead of Dream in mid lane for that one. Team Wii and RNG. Team Wii 17th in the power ranking, 7-5, coming off of a win against Rare Atom. RNG 15th at 6-6, coming off of a loss against NIP. Last time they played, RNG won 2-1. The only matchup that remains the same as the junglers. Wei went 9-7-29, 18% of damage. Hung 6-12-10, 10% of damage. Hung dealt like under 200 DPM the last time these teams played. He's played well the last couple series. We'll see if he can match RNG. I do think that series is going to be a close one. Obviously, power rankings indicate that as well. Lastly, top Esports. Thunder Talk OMG. Thunder Talk are 4-9. OMG 8-4. 8-4. Thunder Talk coming off of winning against IG. OMG coming off of this loss against Top Esports. So they're playing back to back. Last time they played, OMG won 2-0. Cream went 8-5-12. 34% of damage. UCal 7-5-4, 22% of damage. So both mid laners had positive KDAs the last times they played. Tomorrow's schedule, the only matchup that really gets me is Team We RNG. NIP BLG, I guess, would be okay. T1 Genji, though, without Faker, that is a bit of a diffy. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.